I was able to find a lot of this new evidence about the Zodiac. It's a long story how we broken down a lot of the ciphers, but also there are clues on Reddit. We had an informant on Reddit that gave us some guidance, but there are people who talk a lot about the Zodiac on Reddit. And one very interesting person that led to our latest discovery of the Zodiac movie that no one's ever known about called Nervous on the Road came curious enough. So let me go into here. There's a person on Reddit by the name of VT Squire. And I've read a lot of VT Squire stuff. And sometimes it seems like this person really has some insight into the case, but at the same time leads people in a direction that I know is counter to the reality of what's happening. But at the same time, to do that as precisely as this person and Dr. Neka does, in my opinion, you have to know the truth. So I go in here and I'm looking at what VT Squire has to say. And let's check out, let's see. It says, when you tell on yourself. So apparently this guy, Tom Voigt, who's been a Zodiac person for years, said that some moron at Reddit is a belief that they have a scoop. And I guess he's talking about VT Squire, right? So, do we hit that again? So VT Squire posted this saying, this is when you tell on yourself. And then as you look at the comments, it says, so VT Squire, do you know who sent you this envelope you think TV did himself, whoever TV is? Why send a drive? Crazy stuff. And he goes on and I don't know, just some crazy stuff. But then it comes down to this letter. He says, I specifically didn't say anything about a scoop. Funny that you should know the contents of a letter you had nothing to do with. Right. So look at this letter. So somebody wrote, please find and close a thumb drive that contains high resolution 1200 DPI scans of nearly all Zodiac correspondences. Perhaps these will make you cry, tit willow, tit willow, tit willow. I'm consistently impressed by your Reddit post as VT Squire. You're one of the few who makes sense. If I were you, I would be worried about viruses. In the event that you lack a Linux box, please take this to the Kennedy Library downtown. Watch out for the homeless and examine these files. There's no viruses here. Please post these yourself. Reddit is preferable. This is a VT Squire exclusive. Do not let the usual suspects take credit. Please note that the Halloween letter does not include any special material beyond itself. Please also note that placement of sorry, no cipher. Please also note the lack of something disgusting. Sorry for how creepy this is, but I didn't know how else to reach you, concerned citizen. So if that letter is really true, that would be pretty intense because someone is saying that they sent VT Squire a thumb drive containing high resolution images of nearly all Zodiac correspondences. That would be evidence in a trial, correct? Right? So stuff like that made me wonder about this person, VT Squire. I'm like, let me look deeper into this, right? So I went on the internet and I said, well, let me find if there's anything from VT Squire, right? So we go, VT Squire. I found this blog post, VT Squire. And it says October 1929, 2009. Ring, 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 banana phone. I had never heard of this stupid thing. So for some reason, there's this cartoon called Banana Phone, right? Ring, ring, ring. But this writing here has nothing to do with the banana phone. It's a Dr. D. Rosenberg talking about technology changes over the time and it goes into a lot of stuff about de Tocqueville and free speech and just a history of cases and laws and things that happened that brought us into the future for protests and so on and so forth. So it starts at 1791. The Revolutionary War had been over for 10 years. The First Amendment is passed. And weirdly enough, it ends in 1965 as the Vietnam War begins. Now, I've been telling you that the Zodiacs were naval people in the Vietnam War, and this is all about the Vietnam War. So that caught my attention, right? Now, the blog is actually for a person called Broke Bruce, right? But there was one comment, right, on this post for VT Squire, and that comment came from a person by the name of DHAS 22 July 3rd, 2012. And it says, Bruce, well, I think your name is Bruce. If you see this, please text or call me Don DeHaas from Millsburg, Ohio. Now, I didn't know who Don DeHaas was. I don't really know where Millsburg, Ohio is, but I do remember that our anonymous informant one time sent a message to Steven that said, if you're ever in Southern Ohio, look me up. But that was all the details we got. And then law enforcement kind of saw that post and they started posting, and that person went ghost for a long time. So I was like, okay. And Steven was like, who is Broke Bruce? Right? So here's Broke Bruce's profile, and they use a penny. Well, the Zodiac used stamps with a certain person on it to speak information, right? So here's a penny, and it says, in God we trust, liberty. You know, that seems like a message to me, and this is since 2006. Well, here are the different blogs. So there's What's in the Box, Johnny Likes It, Skull Flute, and VT Squire. There's been rumors that there are pictures of some of the Zodiac murders, right? And that they may be in a box. Johnny Likes It is a joke about being gay. Well, the Zodiac people were bisexual, right? I'm not going to even say the other word because then, but then there's this VT Squire post, right? Well, it says that VT Squire is a male student in Vallejo, California. So the VT Squire on Reddit also says that they've lived in Vallejo all their life and is still in Vallejo all their life. So I go and I look up this movie on YouTube, or Steven did, right? And Nervous on the Road. Let's see if we can pull it up here. If not, I can pull it up under the other thing. Okay, so it's not searching easy. We'll do it a different way. We'll go like here. So we'll go to our YouTube channel, right? View channel, manage. And so we have Hello Bruce, which is the movie, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The movie comes on. See the Z? So that's a Zodiac symbol, right? The N is actually two things. That's an A and an L. Let me go back to it real quick. Oh, we can't. So that N is an A and an L. So that's Albert Lee Terry Jr. That's his symbol. This is how he works. That's how he codes, right? in films, you see where it says presents. Well, that N is actually like a drawing. It's a person. It's not an N. That's how Albert Lee Terry Jr. coded in Zodiac correspondences, right? So remember, VT Squire is saying someone sent them a thumb drive of the actual Zodiac correspondences. This guy Don recognizes something about the VT Squire post, doesn't believe that the person's name is really Bruce, and says, contact me like 5 years after that post. Look at the end of the movie. When we get to, oh wait, oh my goodness. God's messing with me. So that's not the end of the movie. That's the analysis. Oh, here we go. So at the end of the movie, you see. Oh, wait. Okay. Oh. There it is. That the camera concept and editor was Don DeHaas. That's how I found this Zodiac movie. This unknown Zodiac authenticated movie, trust me, it is absolutely a Zodiac movie, says that the concept was by this guy, Don DeHaas, right? And that was all found by searching this information from VT Squire, who on Zodiac Killer says they're from Vallejo, who on that blog says that they're from Vallejo, right? And calling themselves Broke Bruce. Well, then I said, well, let me check out this banana phone thing, right? So I go banana phone. And I go to Wikipedia. Wait, banana phone wiki. And when you go in there, it says Canada, CANADA redirects from here. And we believe that Albert Lee Terry Jr. faked his death and moved to Canada, right? So this is some famous song in Canada that this guy who apparently is really famous in Canada put together this thing called banana phone. So how do you have a person on Zodiac Killer Sub who is almost claiming that someone sent them a thumb drive of the original Zodiac letters? People going BS, calling bullshit, right? And tracing that person to a blog post of a person named Bruce, who another person is finding 5 years later and recognizes enough of what's posted there to question that person's name is Bruce, right? And says, call me or text me, right? And then that person was the producer of a movie no one on the planet Earth until we found it, unless you knew, right, was a Zodiac movie called Nervous on the Road that has embedded bloody images of murder victims and members of the Zodiac in it that are using the same embedded technology as a verified Zodiac member, Albert Lee Terry Jr., who's identified in the Z408, right? And we found his fake death cards and certificates of a movie that puts him on the road, this person, whoever it is, using POV tech, viewpoint, that ends in a cemetery, as if that was the start of the new life at the end of the road. How can all of that be a coincidence? So, in my opinion, whoever this VT Squire person is, whether they're old enough or not, has contact or knows someone